Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on the Coaches Parlay. Actually, it's not the Coaches Parlay. This is Wayne's World. My apologies. Here on AHTV. It's kind of one of those weekends or weeks when we just, we think we've got everything straightened out, but we don't. Wayne Kosior, of course, is joining me as always Tuesday nights. Wayne, a little chilly on the Western Prairies. What do you think?
Yeah, it definitely is. But I'm telling you, we've had a pretty good winter year to date, so not complaining. And they say it's supposed to warm up here over the next few days. So, like I say, I'm not complaining. I'm used to being in the prairies, and this is what we get at this time of year.
Absolutely. No, and certainly it's becoming one of the most exciting times of the year. Bit of a not break from, I guess, hockey, but we'll get to that discussion here right away because we're seeing tremendous amounts of restrictions and more guidelines and protocols being in place over the last 96 hours and how they're going to impact not only the Christmas holidays, but 22. And let's get some thought on that, Wayne, because we were so good for the first 4 months of this regular season. And I don't want to say I'm scared, but I want to remain optimistic that, I think we can get through this without any overkill. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think a good term is cautiously optimistic. There is a lot of things happening, and when you see the shutdown in the NHL for the remainder of the week through till Christmas and stuff, the possible cancellation of attendance by the NHL at the Olympics kind of puts question marks into your mind and stuff like that. Capacity restraints in the Ontario region. So, it's all those things are happening and stuff. But the good news is it looks like the World Junior is still a go. Uh, I think that's a good thing type thing. There is risks associated with that. And I'm sure that they're considering all the factors and stuff. But just a lot of things going on. And, I'd hate to see things go backwards and go into a shutdown and a lockdown worst case scenario. But, ultimately, hopefully the professionals, the scientists, the doctors, the politicians can all come to a happy medium where people can continue playing hockey at the junior level and people still attending games and, keeping the economy going.
The one thing I will say is it's different than south of it's not different than south of the border in terms of regulations, but the Western Hockey League runs across four provinces, and each province has a different, health order, a different health official overseeing the province. And in terms of the Western Hockey League, yes, I mean a lot more travel, a lot more jurisdiction, including teams in the United States in the Northwest. But the O and the Q, I mean, we're seeing the limitations. We're starting to see more restrictions, and I don't want to see that to be a sign of going two steps back. What I want to see is us moving forward and realizing, okay, we can continue playing, we can continue seeing great hockey and enjoy it, and also support it live and online. But like you said, remember that we can get through this and move forward. And I think it would be a detriment to everybody that has survived last year's non-season to this year's great regular season beginning to see things happen and be unsuccessful. I don't want to see us shut this down and cancel it, saying, okay, we'll continue this in the summer, because that is not a solution, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly. And what we can't let this become is a political issue and stuff where based on people's beliefs, political wise, that decisions are made and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I think we really have to go back to the science, as they always say. And some of the good news I heard today that is favorable that this latest variant originated in South Africa, and I heard that things are actually improving there now already. So maybe they've gone through their peak, and so that this wave should happen real quick and stuff. So, I know the leagues, and speak to the WHL. I certainly know that league very well. I mean, they're taking some precautions and stuff, making sure the players are all being very safe when they're on their Christmas break. There'll be some testing before they can even return to camp, and then they'll take another test the day they arrive at camp. And obviously anybody with a positive result would not be allowed to join the team at that time. So, it's looking good for that. And like I say, I always try to take the positive side versus the negative side. And, if there's a will, there's a way. I think they continue on here. Key thing, from my own personal perspective and what I read from the scientists and doctors is that, people got to get vaccinated. And, if you're double and now going to triple vaccinated, they're saying this latest variant is not a huge issue if you don't have any underlying health conditions. And so that's the critical part. And I guess if, certain individuals choose, whether it be religious or, health reasons, they can't do much about that, or just beliefs that they don't want to get vaccinated. I mean, that's just, a choice they make, I guess, and have to live with the repercussions just as we do that take the vaccinations.
Certainly. And there's one thing that we know for certain, that outside of the NHL, I mean, the NHL has a bubble. They can create a bubble. They don't want to. But if they're going to be that, that platform to where we match, certainly the Western Hockey League and other junior A programs in Canada can operate back into square one like they used to, because it's just not feasible. And the plan is not to move forward or backwards. Sorry, it's to move forward. And I would hate to see, if we had to do bubbles, well, we've got that plan in place. We've seen it before, but at least that, it could allow a season to continue should things get out of control.
Yeah, if it got out of control, I think that's a worst case scenario. But I honestly don't see it going to that unless something new arises that we don't see on the horizon. And, I think there'll be pressure from a Hockey Canada perspective. They've seen what USA Hockey did last year, and they continue to play on through the Delta and the original coronavirus that was, went through there. And sure, there was some delays, there were some issues and stuff. But long story short, they had a successful season and played a full season of hockey. And I've already been getting calls from Canadian junior hockey players already that want to kind of have a backup plan in case their league shut down. So, you can see that developing already.
It's good to have a backup plan. We're hoping it doesn't come to that. Like you said, come 5 days from now, we're going to see World Junior Hockey.
Yeah, awesome. The best hockey of the year, right?
It's the best time of the year, yeah. I mean, it's going to have a different look to it. I mean, the players are already there. They're already being quarantined. They're already being tested. They're all being, kept in their own separate places. So we don't know whether or not we'll see full capacity at these games. Regardless, we'll see some great action on the ice, and we'll see it live on televisions. That's for sure. We're going to go quickly to the hot takes, because I know we can go on and on about this conversation. I really don't like talking about it, but it's one of those things where we kind of have to. But our first hot take of the evening with Wayne, our last one of 21, is exactly that, about the World Junior Hockey Championships. Talk to me about some of the politics that do concern you with regards to this tournament.
Well, I mean, it's a question I get quite often from players and parents is around politics in hockey. And everybody thinks that politics actually stops at the end of minor hockey. But the reality is that no, politics will go on right through the entire hockey cycle. And it's just the reality of life type thing. And, certainly the World Junior Championships is no exception. And, the biggest one that, right out of the gate would be, the Europeans. There's a number of European countries that are, ignoring, I guess, any players that left their home country and went to Canada or the U.S. to play hockey have been excluded. And, one country that I've heard through an advisor I work with in Germany is that none of the Germans that are playing here in the Western Hockey League have been invited to play in Team Germany, even though they are some of the most elite players in that country. I heard Russia is also not allowing any North American playing Russians to play on Team Russia. And I'm sure there's others, but those are two that I know, Team Russia and Team Germany. So there's certainly that about it. And then, the last one is I still have a sore spot on, even in Canada it happens. And the fact that Matthew Savoy was not invited to the tryout camp and was a leading scorer, a dominant player in this league. But, I also remember he went and played in the USHL last year. And whether they're striking back on him for that or not, I can't comment for sure, but certainly is suspicious.
Interesting comment. As well, fellow ice player Zach Benson having one amazing good year, not even getting a sniff either. So, I mean, it remains to be seen how this is going to pan out, but we'll see the talent hit the ice on Boxing Day. So that'll be the start to that one. Let's get to number 2 here. Kind of a bit of a predictions. We're going to put on our thinking caps and look at the globe, the time traveling globe, if you will. Some predictions on who will win the WHL this year should the regular season continue. And what do you think? Why?
Well, for me, I mean, we're probably going to go both as Eastern Conference teams because we see them more. So it's hard for us to judge what's out west. But, I see Edmonton as hard to beat. I mean, when they got Gouli in there and now you pair him up with Neighbors and Gunther and, got Kosa and Net, and all 4 of those players are on Team Canada World Junior Championship. And you think a guy like Prokop is sitting there back on D and never even got an invite to camp, and he's NHL signed 3rd rounder and stuff. And so, I mean, they're just extremely deep, and I think they're going all in. And I expect we're still going to see some trades here leading up to the trade deadline that could change that balance of power. I'm sure that Winnipeg is still looking around for something to shore up their team. And out west, I haven't seen a lot of big movement, but I think come after Christmas, when it opens up and leading into the new year, you're going to see some trades happening with Everett and Kamloops and maybe Vancouver, some of those main contenders. What about you?
Mentioned Kamloops. I think Kamloops could be that, not dark horse, but you look at Kamloops, Everett, Edmonton, and Winnipeg being the top 4 teams of the 5 in CHL rankings week after week here. It's hard to go against those 4 teams, and it's really going to be a battle to who's going to come out on the western side come Memorial Cup time as well. So, I mean, I like what Edmonton did, securing some truly great talent at the 20-year-old time. But I'm going to say, whoever's the most healthy come playoff time, that's what's going to matter too. And you're never going to beat a hot goaltender, right, Wayne?
It's the number one thing, and I don't think you'll find any coach that's going to disagree with that. You got to have a good and a hot goaltender to win it all. Last
but not least, our third one, some Christmas hockey wishes, some found under the tree, perhaps in the stockings. But Wayne, I'm not going to find you under the mistletoe, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So it's always good to finish on a positive note. So some of the wishes, and I mean, what comes to the top of mind for me is I wish I could say the end of the coronavirus, but I understand it's never going to end. But to get control of it so that we can return to life as normal as possible, as we knew it before it arrived. And I'm very confident that's going to happen. And, I look forward to the opportunity to see full arenas, hockey players chasing their dreams and stuff like that, fans having a great time in the stands. So that would be number 1 for me. And number 2, I want to see Canada bring home the gold at the World Juniors.
There you go. Very simple, to the point. I like to see a 22 where, injury doesn't play into effect championships. I would like to see as many talented players be healthy, teams to be healthy, and some truly great hockey and, adversity to play into account to make sure that the seasons do get finished. I would love to see Canada win gold. Don't get me wrong. Will it happen? We'll have to see. I mean, it's going to be an interesting year, interesting tournament for the next 2 weeks, but nonetheless, I also would like to see a little bit of parity. I'd like to see some of these not no-name leagues, but some of the leagues that don't get as much recognition. I mean, now that the BCHL is not invited to the Western Championships or to Junior A Championships, maybe my next guest might have something to say about that when it comes to the SI representing well. And, the Fighting Walleye, I mean, they've only lost twice out of the last 19. We'll get to Kevin McCallum here on the break, but like I said, I would love to see some of these teams that don't get the net recognition in their league to step up and show them who's right for the place. So we wish you, Wayne, a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year in 22. We'll touch base in the new year in the middle of this wonderful tournament we're going to see. Maybe we'll have 4 teams to talk about in semifinals.
Thanks a lot. Same to you, Theo, and same to all of our viewers and listeners. And I look forward to being back with you guys in 2022.
Great to hear from you. It's Wayne Kosior, Wayne's World, part 1 of our show here on the ice. We'll be back with Kevin McCallum, General Manager of the Cam River Fighting Walleye, right after our break. Stay with us here on the ice. Joining me now on part 2 of On the Ice, brought to you by Dokesbrook Fields Case Financial Group, Toby Hockey, Kevin McCallum, General Manager. Kevin, I must say your air miles is a little bit better this fall compared to last fall. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. What are we at? 24, 25 games. A lot better than 4 for sure, right? So it's exciting that our guys have been able to play without any interruptions, and it's obviously been pretty good so far.
Have you been able to sleep a little better, or are you just that more excited to just see the next weekend of hockey? Because, I mean, the Fighting Walleye have had quite a run here these last couple of months.
It's always exciting coming to the arena, right? We have such an amazing group of people, from all our volunteers, coaching staff, players. Obviously winning helps a lot, right, to the excitement of the rink. We had a cluster of home games there, and we were discussing in the office, maybe it was too much at once, but then we had a weekend off and everyone missed being at the arena, right? So it's we've created an environment that everyone likes to come to and spend time here. It's even on off days, Brian Smeltzer, my assistant, and our coaching staff, Matt Valley, and sometimes they just catch us hanging out here more often than one would think.
So the vibe in the rink, like I'm walking in the rink for the first time, Kevin. I'm not a native of Cam River, not a local citizen. What is it like when it comes home game time?
Oh, it's exciting, right? We Derek Geddes and his staff do really well with creating an environment. We have a really cool intro. Music's loud. They somehow found a train horn somewhere that will shake the best of buildings, let alone our little tin can here. Create an environment where kids really enjoy coming. Our team bus picks up minor hockey teams. They come out here. They play an intermission game. They pick up our ducks for our chuck-a-duck between the second and third. Well entertained. Initially, they were coming into our room for autographs and meeting. Obviously, when COVID kind of took off again, we nipped that a little bit. And, we have our guys mask up and go see the kids out. And that's the environment we want, right? We have 25 role models in our dressing room, and kids look up to them.
Speaking of which, I mean, you talk about the players being the role models. What is it about, this game that we love to be involved in, Kevin, for these players, the bonding you get to see on the ice that relates to their community involvement off the ice?
Well, it's been unbelievable, right? We demand a lot from our guys. We practice early. We're in the community. We got a lot of students. Most of our guys work. We have guys working at farms, local contractors, university, and the guys that may not have that going on, they spend time at schools. Evergreen Pharmacy has a really good program where we go read to schools. We're in the community all the time, and we never have a shortage of volunteers, which is amazing, right? I know our guys are taxed quite a bit with early morning practice, lots going on. Matt Valley demands a lot of them, and anytime we put out a roll call for volunteers, it's if we need 3, we get 7, and we need 7, we get 15, right? So, and that's what our biggest mandate here is good people. We have good people throughout the organization. We have good kids. I've had an opportunity to get a player in here recently that would be 2-3 points a game potentially in our league, and maybe his lifestyle away from the arena isn't conducive to how we operate here with the Fighting Walleye.
How has the players and the transactions you've made so far been able to fit in so well, Kevin, in this quick turnarounds? Because, would you say you're a little more active this year compared to previous years before COVID, and saying that, you're picking up players, you're looking to find the right fits, and when they do click, they certainly click well?
Yeah, I think I do a pretty good job about investigating these guys that we bring in. Kyle Lamoureux. We brought in Kersey Reach. We brought in Johnny McCallum. They've stepped right in the room. We knew Johnny a little bit. His brother was our captain last year. And bringing in guys like, Reacher and Lammer. They're quality kids. And that's what we strive to do. And even with the trade deadline looming, with uncertainty of COVID, is making sure we make the right moves, right? We got a lot of good youth here. I look in the cupboards, and we're going to be, I think we'll be in the mix for the next 2-3 years without a crystal ball in my hand.
Isn't that, Kevin, the number one goal is to make sure you're competing year in and year out, as opposed to having ebbs and flows, hills and mountaintops? valleys, because you want to make sure that the product on the ice is, entertaining, but also very good for the fans, very good for the community.
Absolutely right. Everyone loves a winner. Thunder Bay is notorious, for, when we had the Thunder Bay Flyers, Thunder Bay Thundercats and Senators, they won championships. And the moment they kind of had a dip, the fans seemed to dip out a little bit, right? The North Stars, they've won 4 or 5 championships over the years, so people get used to winning, right? And the way I look at it, I still look at us as an expansion team. There's no Bill Sloan Cups banners hanging yet in the Norwest Arena, and that's our goal, right, from the top down, is to create an environment. Duncan Ray, he's passed on, but the owner of the Vernon Vipers, when I was with them, said, we don't recruit here, we reload. So, and that's a piece of advice I always adhere to, right? I try and keep a healthy balance of 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds. We really don't carry very many underagers with, our agreement with Thunder Bay Kings. We're not looking to hurt their program at all, but, we've been blessed with 4 or 5 affiliates this year that have stepped in and have been amazing for us. And, obviously they're on our recruiting radar. We hope to get some of those guys next year and keep moving.
Before we get to the recruiting process of that, there was a player that was signed, I want to say, early to mid-October. The stat line was like 6'5", 6'6", 260 pounds. And is he a local guy? I forget his name. His name is slipping my mind right now, Kevin. Is he still on the roster, and does he pack a powerful punch?
That was Mr. McLeod. He, as I said, we demand a lot here, right? And there were some tardiness issues there, and we went in our separate ways. There's still 1 or 2 teams in this league that like to play the late 90s, early 80s type hockey. We're not built that way.
Right.
Few teams in this league aren't built that way, but at the end of the day, sometimes we have to answer that stuff too, right? To allow us to play. I don't need certain guys in our roster, getting hurt, or leaning on them to do something they're uncomfortable doing out on the ice. I think the game's changed. I think the roster we have built with our hockey ops staff and our scouting staff, we're built for skill. We're not, we have a certain team toughness about us, but we also, some of those guys, we don't need, Zach Fortin fighting. We don't need, guys like Colton Kreisler fighting or Trent Morriso fighting. It's, I get it. Certainly sells the odd ticket, that kind of atmosphere, but that's something we're not really striving to be, is kind of a goon 'em up team, which a lot of people are shocked by a team that I might put together that, doesn't really, come out with fisticuffs all the time. And the game has changed. There's not really, you look back 20 years ago and before I hit junior hockey, or guys I know that went on and played a tougher role, they would have had 30, 40 schoolyard fights before playing junior hockey. And the kids nowadays, it's not part of life, right? So when you ask in junior, they step in and see that kind of hockey, it's overwhelming for some of them, right? And, I'm indifferent. If it happens in the heat of the battle when we're playing, but to bring in 3 or 4 guys that are just for that purpose, it's kind of going in a different direction, and I really hope that we just, stay away from that, because, we've come a long way in the SIJHL from the days of 8 or 9 fights an evening, right? Now if, we have one in the heat of battle, it happens, but to go back to the days of, 4 or 5, 6, 7 fights a night, it's just not how we're built.
Has the league itself, like the SI, as well as, the pandemic, where you had to learn the game as a player differently because there was no contact last year in Ontario, has that propelled teams to look at the skill, the speed, and the reloading of teams, like you mentioned, a little differently, so that it doesn't clean up the game per se, but it gives an opportunity for skill to overcome, the unrefined points of the game per se?
I think so. We've built this team, obviously a little bit last year. We had some carryover. We still didn't know what we had, right? We never played real hockey. We played some non-hitters. But at the end of the day, if you look at our, top handful of scorers in our 4 regular season games last year against Thunder Bay, those same guys are up there, and they're still learning that junior role. And, it's sometimes it's hard to remember. Like some of these kids haven't really played for 2.5 years, right? So I don't think we moved anybody. Maybe one or two guys that maybe didn't fit the bill that we thought at the beginning of the year. After that, everyone, stepped up. Red Lake plays us hard, Thunder Bay plays us hard, Dryden, they're big and strong. And, when we played them here in our barn, it's about the size of this office, our ice surface. So it's, there's no room to hide, right? And,
Yeah.
We were able to sweep them when they came here. And that's, it's definitely a different game, obviously, from 10, 15, 20 years ago. But our kids adapt. We if you want to skate with us, we'll skate with you. If you want to bang us up, we're going to bang you back, and away we go.
You mentioned the Thunder Bay Kings a couple minutes ago, and we spoke to Jeff Riccardi, who's their head coach in the U17 program that has been fortunate enough to be included into the GTHL. What does that do for local Thunder Bay players when it comes to making the next step into junior programs like the SI, in particular, playing for one of the two Thunder Bay or Cam River, I should say?
Well, I'm sure it makes us both nervous, right? They're getting a lot more exposure playing in the GTHL. And notoriously in Thunder Bay, everyone, we come out of the Kings program or, minor hockey, and, you want to kind of spread your wings a little bit and go play in the Manitoba League, the Northern Ontario League, the OJ, CCHL, or out west. And, we're used to those 3 or 4 guys off the Kings kind of migrating in different leagues. And then it's the next 3, 4 guys that, us and the North Stars typically will wrestle over. And my fear, I think it's great what the Kings are doing where they're playing, but those 3, 4 guys, the GOJHL, might get their teeth into them, so it's something where it's definitely on our radar. But, myself, Matt Valley, Jeff Riccardi's been great with us. When we bring them in to play for us, they have a stall, they have their nameplate, they have their last name. They're treated like Fighting Walleye full-time members, right? And we, I notice some teams in the league will call guys up. They don't put a name bar. We don't do that here. If you're going to play here, Bulldog, our trainer, Taylor Metzger, he'll cut letters out of guys, that are released and make sure they have a last name and feel a part of what we're doing here. And that's all part of the recruiting process, right? We want to retain local guys, and, the guys we have from outside of Thunder Bay have been unbelievable. And the one thing I've noticed about where we're at in the standings, we're getting phone calls coming in now as opposed to us chasing all over North America. So it's kind of nice to be the pretty girl at the dance a little bit, I guess.
The pretty girl that doesn't need the lipstick per se. You don't have to put lipstick on a pig on this guy, Kevin. I know, because at the start of the season, I believe it was it Red Lake that was at the top of the board in Thunder Bay, and you were kind of wrestling second and third. And then what happened? I mean, where did the turnaround come, and how have you been so successful winning 17 of the last 19 games?
I think our first road trip when we went up to Red Lake, I think that was the best thing for us. We lost on Friday night. We lost in overtime Saturday night. A little bit of a reality check. And, I always say we're young. We're learning how to play the junior hockey game, right? We got our 19-year-olds are still, they're only 25, 26 games deep in their junior careers. We have some 20-year-olds with a little bit more experience. But it's tough, right? The first time you get on a bus for 7-8 hours, go up to Red Lake, and, we kind of went in there thinking, maybe believing we're a little bit bigger than we are. And I thought it was the best. I had a gut feeling that we were going to drop 1, maybe 2 for sure, just to kind of open it up. And then, Matt does an amazing job, him and his coaching staff, right, to get them prepared for each game with video. They're on iceberg all time. He's very good at turning our players into students of the game. And that's one thing is one feather in Matt's cap, right, is each guy goes home and monitors their own video. And then when it comes to the dressing room, Matt breaks it down and works with each individual guy. And that's an amazing role Matt has done here. And learning to win too, right? When I look at recruiting, I look at programs that are winning. And try and get kids that are used to winning. And what I've told our guys from the start is team success will breed individual success. So we have all our O1s have colleges, 5, 6, 7. One guy has 10 or 12 schools calling them. And that's what we provide here. Myself and Matt are always calling schools, trying to give our kids the best opportunity. We have O2s now that schools are calling them, and I even have an O3 that was kind of an under radar kid for many years. And every time I walk past him, I say, "You're almost a junior hockey player," and he looks at me kind of dumbfounded. And then he's starting to get some interest, as an O3, and that's exciting.
Very cool. It's got to be great to hear a team like the Fighting Walleye actually enjoying and seeing players enjoying the junior hockey life again, because it was gone for a little bit there, and we weren't sure how it was going to come back, and you certainly brought it back, Kevin, with full effect. And I admire what the Fighting Walleye have done. Everything from, like you said, Bulldog putting the nameplates on to getting this team rallied up for the 7-8 hour bus trips, because those are things, those are memories are made out of those, right, Kevin?
Oh, absolutely. We guys come to the rink with smiles on their face, and that's the best part, right? The ping pong tables going, movies are going. I know they get into Bulldog's hair a little bit. Bulldog likes his room spotless and tidy and neat. But we've created an environment. We want our guys to be safe. Another one is checking in with mental health, right? We're dealing with different things in hockey and in life. These kids have gone through a lot, and just checking in with our guys, making sure everyone's doing okay. 3 or 4 might relate to me or Matt or Bulldog or Jessica or trainer or athletic therapist or, Henner or Butsy or Rico or coaches. And we have people in place for mental health too, right? So it's making sure everyone's being taken care of and making sure they know they're part of our family.
How has these CJHL rankings, that obviously you're very proud of because you post them every week on social media, but how have they not gone to the players' heads and seeing their name in the top 10, which is something that hasn't been done in quite a while or ever for the Fighting Walleye?
Well, yeah, it's, obviously being in the rank, it's exciting, right? It's fun to see every Monday where we're going to be slotted in. And I think the guys are definitely proud of it, but they understand, like, we haven't done anything yet. Our trophy case is empty. There's some old beer league trophies up here in Norwest Arena and maybe some minor hockey trophies, but there's no SIJHL hardware or Dudley Hewitt hardware. So we, and there's still a mountain in front of us, right? Red Lake's got a great team. Dryden plays hard, and I really like their team. Thunder Bay, they're around too. So it's there's no free points when you're playing those guys. And then for Francis, Thief, and Spooner, or Wisconsin, they play well. I really like Dave Allison, what he's done there, right? He was a little bit handcuffed with some of the recruiting there, and they're a team kind of to watch for. I like the way they play. They got some good players, and I know Dave. Dave's a pretty good coach.
Certainly having a lot of fun this year, Kevin, watching the guys play and the camaraderie. I mean, how is that feeling in the rink when it comes to playing the team from just across the way in Thunder Bay? Is that rivalry renewed itself, and is it getting a little more heated like we expect, like the good old days in the Battle of Alberta?
It's gotten warm in the arena a couple times, yeah, for sure. So I know our last series against Thunder Bay, we had an unfortunate injury with one of Thunder Bay's players, landed funny. Game was postponed, and the back half of Friday's game was played on Sunday. But Saturday night, we our attendance, I don't think you could have got a mouse into this building. It was packed, and we let's say 75% Walleye fan, 25% North Stars fan, and they were, excited. They're good scoring games. I think 7-6 we won. There was 1 or 2 altercations that may have spilled over from the night before, and it's exciting. We're seeing a lot of different people come to SIJHL games, right? And that's kind of the exciting part, is when you start seeing new faces, and then you see them in the community. All of a sudden, they want to be sponsors. They want to be billets. And our guys get fired up for Thunder Bay. And I know, when I was with Thief River, the Minnesota Iron Rangers had 17 guys that came through us, right? So anytime we played them, it was tough. And Thunder Bay, they got a lot of guys that used to wear Walleye jerseys or tried out for the Walleye. And, we're never going to have an easy night against them. They're out there trying to prove. Myself and Matt and our staff made a mistake with them, and they make us pay, So it's fun. They look at me with a dirty look walking down the hallway. But we cared about every kid that ever came through this dressing room, and we gave them I could have moved some kids out of the region, but they wanted to stay in Thunder Bay. So we made a deal with Rob and the Thunder Bay North Stars. At the end of the day, it's for the kids, right? It's doesn't help me to send a kid across Canada or down to the States if he doesn't want to be there. We try and help the kids, and it wasn't successful here, but we give them the best. And, they give me little looks on the ice if they score a goal, or it's fun, right? It's a rivalry, and there's really no love lost. So
It's hockey. It's supposed to happen like that, right, Kevin?
absolutely. It's,
There you go.
we see, a lot of teams in the league do a lot of the stuff we're doing. And, if we're fresh blood and we're changing it up a little bit and other teams are liking what we're doing and they're going to try stuff, it's great for the league. So that's our goal, right? Is to have, a Sioux Lookout coming next year, is have 8 strong members and hopefully get a 9th and a 10th down the road.
That should be looking fine. I know Darren Nicholas has been working extra hard with all of the board members and the teams already to get up to 10, which would be great to see. Not so much this year's stocking and Christmas tree stuffers, but let's get to this year. I mean, hopefully we get to see a second half of the season, finish off the season strong in the SI. What would be some of the gifts under the tree you would like to see given to the players into January and into Salonen and Dudley if we make it that far?
The work our guys put in, right? I want to see, some of the fruits of their labor. Obviously championships our goal. If we're able to get to championship series with Red Lake, and if it goes either way, we already be into the Dudley Hewitt Cup. If we go there is to compete. I look at it as I believe we compete with any team in the NOJHL, and the OJ is going to send a tough team. But I can I've seen enough Dudley Hewitt Cups to know that that league typically doesn't travel much. So when you get on a airplane for 2 hours and there's a bus waiting outside the Thunder Bay Airport for another 8-hour bus ride at the end of the world, it's gonna be tough to come into Red Lake's environment to win the Dudley. And I think there's a real good chance for Red Lake or the next SIJHL team to make some noise and hopefully get to a national championship.
Should be fun to watch. I know that's going to be hopefully coming up in the springtime. Kevin, you mentioned a lot of the members of the team, the guys behind the scenes. I know you're looking forward to a little bit of a holiday season. I will leave you to it. Thanks so much for joining me tonight on the ice. Is there anybody else you left unmentioned that you'd like to say hello to from the community, from the program, the organization?
Well, Derek and Matt and Brian said Merry Christmas, and my brother. So I haven't forgot about your hat. I've gone up twice to go get your hat, and we've been sold out still. So that's my goal in the new year, Theo, is to send you your hat.
You're a gem.
So no, we're happy with what we do in the community. We want to keep the momentum going in the new year. I really hope for, I get the health reasons and everything, if potentially if shutdowns are looming, but these kids, they've endured enough, right? I just want them to play hockey, and that's across Canada, across the US. I have a 3-year-old at home that thinks it's strange to leave the house without a mask, right? So he's been to a restaurant once in his life. I just would love to have some sense of normalcy. We started getting it, and to be slowed down here a little bit. We've been fortunate with the SIJHL. We haven't had, any issues, any shutdowns. And Darren's done a great job, right? We, when our team traveled to Spooner this past weekend, all our meals were private. We really limited our access. The players were in and off the bus, hotel, stayed to ourselves. So we're doing everything we can. And when I sent our guys home, the last thing I said, let's not be a part of why we get shut down. So be careful. I'm not naive to the fact if someone's going back to, White City, Saskatchewan, that they might not have a beverage or two with some friends, but to do it safely, and let's not be part of the reason we get shut down, right? And our guys will be tested upon arrival to make sure they're safe to go into their billet home, safe to come into our environment, and just keep trudging the road to happy destiny, I guess.
There it is. Kevin McCallum, I want to wish you, the entire family at the Fighting Walleye, as well as your own family, a very happy holiday and a safe and happy new year, and look forward to seeing the W's in the columns and some great competitive hockey action in the SI in the coming months.
Appreciate it, Theo. Thank you.
It's always a good time. Kevin McCallum, General Manager of the Cam River Fighting Walleye. Thanks for watching our sort of final edition. We're going to have one more coming up on Thursday here on the ice. I'd like to thank our sponsors as well, bringing more goodness to the greatness here on ASTV. Take care of your friends, take care of your neighbors, and Merry Christmas to everybody. Hopefully Santa takes care of you. And don't forget to leave some carrots for the reindeer. Bye-bye for now. Cheers.
Welcome to Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. The students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot Mountain Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.